It was a bad deal, man. A bad deal. To be honest with you, we just missed a cue, not knowing how to close it on the goal line. Uh, it was probably making the decision too fast. That's what Kirby Smart was talking about, which was quite clearly a mistake. Probably the most notable mistake the entire game. Most notable. I don't, I'm not an SEC football coach because I don't know everything that's going on over there, but it was pretty evident that with no timeouts left, I was watching the game in the stands at this point because I was walking up to the press box, and at that point there were 27 seconds left in the half. Everybody was, Carson Beck and them were flying down the field, and all of a sudden, there's a run play called that close to the line of scrimmage, like that close to the goal line. That's not a big deal. The fact that you don't have a timeout, I mean, it was just really bad mismanagement, and that's what Kirby talked about. He went on to say, We spend a lot of time on these moments. We spend a lot of time on these moments like that, and I take pride in those moments. Should never happen. Should never happen. But making a decision really fast, sometimes you don't make the right decision. We had enough time. We actually got the ball snapped without losing any time on the clock. But the decision was thinking it was probably closer than it was and cost us at least one play. So it was definitely okay, when you're on the field, um, it certainly head coaches get a lot of leeway as far as how long they can walk out of the box. And the box, for those of you who don't know what that is the area of the field where the coaches and the players for the teams have to stay in. There's a it's not a coach's box, it's a box. And you know, it extends from the 25-yard line. Both 25-yard lines is where 25-yard line on one side, 25 on the other. But when you're in these situations, it gets kind of complicated because if the ball is at, in this case, it was at the 3-yard line. Well, I know there's a scoreboard, and I know, I know all of that, but it really I understand the urge to just walk down there and look at it, but you're really not supposed to walk down that far unless you're calling a timeout, and there were no timeouts to be called. See, but all that said, it was not a smart play. So let me just recap that drive real quick because at that point Georgia was up 14-0. This would get you to 21-0. And I have to be honest with you. I think if they score on that play or on that drive, a touchdown, 21-0, like there's not a lot people are going to talk about because the efficiency of the offense on Saturday, they were almost at 8 yards at play on Saturday. I mean, that's really high up there. So they got the ball at the 20 and they had 2 minutes on the clock. They drove the field in no huddle. So Carson to Brock Bowers for 8 yards, Cash Jones for 2, first down. Carson to Brock Bowers for 20 yards. All of a sudden, they're at the 50. Then Carson runs to the left for 6 yards. They're at the 44. And then complete to Cash Jones for 2 yards. They did not get a first down. It was 3rd and 2 at the 48. And so, then Carson gets another. Then Carson converts to first down, and they don't stop. They don't. There's no timeouts called or anything like that. But they're really being efficient with time. Then this is where they start zooming down the field at the 40-yard line. Carson gets it to Cash Jones for 12 yards, and then he gets a deep ball to Dominic Lovett for 25. Well, it looked like it was gonna be a touchdown for a second there, and it would leave Tennessee Martin about 30-ish seconds to go. They fly down the field. They don't spike it, which I would not have spiked it either. But then they hand it off at the 3. Now, this was not like so part of the criticism of Kirby is, or in this instance is, this is not some abnormal thing. This happens all the time. This is something that, if you think about the Ohio State game, they didn't handle that well at the end. He was very frustrated by that. So there's still work to be done. And the fact of the matter is, this wasn't a game like, Florida State's or Duke's win over Clemson, or I don't even know, some of the sort of lopsided games. This was a tight. This was a tight moment. This was a blowout, but this was a tight moment. And these big games like Ohio State or perhaps LSU in the future, or Alabama in the future, they often do come down to the last moments of the game. This was just like what Alabama was trying to do to Georgia in 2021, which led to the Keely Ringo pick six. You have to be good at this, and Georgia was not the other day. And he totally, it was a bad deal. He said it should never happen, and he was saying they made the decision too fast. I would not have spiked it again. I mean, they had 27 seconds. They did not lose a second at all. They did not lose a second at all in their transition from midfield up to where they got the ball. They could have spiked it, and they would have had, they would have been 26 seconds, and and then they would have, probably the same amount of plays as they had when they ran it. The running it, total mistake. There's just no explanation for that in any other way, period. Our friends at EcoPoly are making furniture that combines elegance and durability, ensuring that your backyard oasis remains a sanctuary for years to come. With its exceptional resistance to weather, fading, and wear, it requires minimal maintenance, allowing you to spend more time relaxing and less time worrying about upkeep. EcoPoly is Georgia-made. This chair was made in Dodge County. It's got a 20-year warranty. It's made in Georgia. I've not switched the chair back, man. I mean, that's all you need to know. And we're going to show you all some more of what they've got with these bar stools and so forth. Adirondack chairs, just very nice stuff here in the coming days and weeks. But we really appreciate EcoPoly being on board with us this year. And I'm sure when they were watching it, whether they were at the game or whether they were watching at home in one of their chairs, they were probably going, "What in the world are they doing right now?" Because I think that was the one. We do a lot of videos. The point of these videos is not to, clobber a particular player or a coach or a coordinator. But that was a real thing. That was a real problem on Saturday. And I think that I'll just the way that Shane Beamer was after South Carolina's loss to North Carolina, the way that Dabo I don't even know what that kind of was. That was not even close to being as bad as the way that Shane Beamer was after the loss to South Carolina, after South Carolina's loss. But I think the thing I appreciate about Kirby covering Georgia, because he certainly aggravates me at times and us at times, but at least when they're wrong on the field, he completely takes accountability for it, responsibility for it. There's simply no good reason or explanation to run the football in that moment. Now, you could be saying, well, they're expecting the throw. Yeah, man, but like the everything in life and in sports too is cost benefit analysis. What is the worst thing that can happen in this situation? Well, you can get one more play. That's pretty bad. Like if you're just trying to, if you only need a score to win, even then, running the ball with 27 seconds. I will say that Carson Beck and company really got up to the line quickly after that, decision. I put that on the coaches. That was not on Beck. Now it may well be on Beck. I'm not aware of it, but I have to say that putting them in that position, putting the players in that position is on the coaches, period. So that is something that we're going to see if Georgia corrects. And I don't think, I don't know that it's a pattern. It's happened 2 times in the last 3 games, though, that Georgia's not handled the end of a half, if you want to put it like that, or the end of a game. That's the end of a half. 2 of the last 3 games, Georgia has not handled the end of half situations the way that you should. Now, they've gotten away with both of them. But the Ohio State game, Stetson went too fast. And gave Ohio State an opportunity to very nearly win that game. That didn't happen because the kick was just a disaster. But the opportunity was there for Ohio State. So I think, what I'm very curious. I do not think, this is just me. I only ever speak for myself anyway. I don't know that. I don't know that I have to justify saying this is just me, but it is just me. I would want to make sure that Carson Beck is in that situation again this week, and whether you are, um, whether it's totally out of hand like Vanderbilt 21, where they scored 35 points in a quarter, and you're pulling them out. You can act like that the end of the first quarter is the end of the half, but Georgia totally needs to get another one of these. The good news about being in that situation is you screwed it up this time, so you've got practice to get it right the second time. Um, but that was not handled the way that it should have been, and it's hardly the end of the world. Again, I mean the production from the offense for how many plays, was really very good. Frankly, it was a good. It was a really good, and from metrics standpoint, production day for Georgia offensively. They just were not crisp the way you wanted them to be. They cost themselves 4 points there. They probably score a touchdown there with two more plays. I mean, they're at the three. So, and if not, then you got your whole other problem, right? But I do think they probably score from the three from there with two more plays. That would be my suspicion. But they didn't score the next play. It was yeah, it was a short pass to Arian Smith. I do have to say I do think that because the first down was the run, second down you had to spike it, so they only had one play. But I do think that Arian Smith is a great threat down the field. I want to see improvement in non-linear in non-linear routes, like in terms of the production. There might not be somebody better than him running a straight line in college football as a receiver, but there's more to receiving than that. And I'm hardly an expert on that, but I think that would go a long way to helping him and helping the dogs. But that close of the half, that's got to get better.